I just did a phone interview for a new job today, and I'm not even gonna lie to you. The hiring process is one of the sickest feelings that you will ever experience, man. Sitting on the phone and answering the most irrelevant questions in the whole entire world just for them to play in your face is the one of the most sickest feelings in the whole world, man. They be like, oh, can you explain a time where you had to change everything last minute? Oh, do you work better as a team or do you work better independently? What's one way that you can overcome burnout in a job? Can you give me an example of that? Like, why does that matter? Are you hiring or not? Are you paying or not? Do you need somebody or not? Why does it matter what I experienced at my last job, man? What's one of the biggest accomplishments at work? Why does it matter? That be getting people pissed off. It feels like a mother humiliation ritual. It feels like you're a clown performing for the king, my guy. It feels like you're a court jester and everybody's watching you perform. And you like, oh, I'm gonna be positive, I'm gonna be positive. And then you do all of that just for them to not call you back. Honestly speaking, what is the point of you asking me these questions at the end of the day?
All right. I am going to go 100% teacher mode. And for those who are new to this channel, I'm in my 21st year of teaching. So welcome to those who are new. And of course, a big hugs and hearts for those who are returning. I'm going to go total teacher mode. So you're just going to have to forgive me. All right. First off, before I go totally teacher mode, this guy is a perfect example of why I believe some companies are going through multiple hoops to find the right person. In other words, I understand that there are ghost jobs out there, and shame on them. There are jobs out there that are just, factory farming, potential resumes and whatnot. And, I don't really have a problem with that so much. It's when they call applicants in acting as though there's a job when there really isn't. That's the part that I think is really shameful because you're wasting that applicant's time. But let's go ahead, put that aside. And his question is, what's the point of all of this stuff that we have to go through with an interview? Now, I am not going to debate, although it could be debated, and I would even support some of the interviews that there are more hoops than normal than there have been in the past to jump through. But I think part of the reason we have seen this increase in more interviews is we have this thing called social media. And social media has brought out aspects, characteristics of people that may or may not be fully accurate, right? Some people will tell you that I don't seem like the most sensitive person because I am very kind of, upfront, blunt about my financial history, how it really messed me over, how I really, I see it in other people. I point it out, and some people think, oh my goodness, she's, not real nice, when that is actually the total opposite. And that's why I share so much of my personal past. But there's something, this social media, I think, in many ways, because it has made it harder to identify, people's personalities, sort of a true sense of who they are. In the olden days when social media didn't exist, what you got, the interview, or even what you got over the phone, that's what you got. But now you got this social media aspect. And I think employers, to some extent, they're having to kind of balance, okay, we see this on social media, but what's this person really like? You see? So I recognize that and I see that. But now here's the total teacher mode to answer this guy's question because I want you to understand where I'm coming from. He says, what is the point of doing all that? This is something I teach my students, and let's just take any lesson. All right. Work with me here. There's a point, I swear. Let's take a lesson that I might teach. Let's say I'm going to teach a lesson on theme. And I teach you that theme is the lesson. It's the moral of the story. It's what is it that the author wants you to get from reading this story. And let's say I take one of my favorite, little fairy tale stories. It doesn't matter, but I pick a story. Let's pick one that most people know, The Three Little Pigs. And I teach you that the three little pigs, the message is to work really hard so that something down the road doesn't destroy it. And you walk away thinking, oh, this is actually how I teach. Okay. And if a student walks away thinking, oh, okay, so we have to understand the three little pigs and that it's about, working really hard so something doesn't destroy it. My immediate response is, you've totally misunderstood the point of the lesson. You see, this guy's upset because he's saying, why do we have to go through all these interview questions? That seems so irrelevant. What he doesn't understand is the same thing that I teach about theme as a language arts teacher. I'm not teaching you the story of the three little pigs. So you walk away memorizing the story of the three little pigs. I'm teaching you how to find the message in a story, how to find the theme in a story. Because if you can be taught how to find the message, how to find, in this case, I'm teaching, let's just, again, throwing it out there, I'm teaching you theme. If I can teach you to understand that theme is the message, the lesson that is being taught in a story. What's the theme of Hamlet? What is the theme? Pick the story. All right. Print, book, what is it? Cartoon, whatever. There's a message in there. I want to teach you how to find the message, because if I can teach you how to find the message, then it's not going to matter if it's to the three little pigs, or when you get older, if it's to Hamlet, or when you get even older, it's to some collegiate level stuff, because I taught you how to find the theme. This guy here is a perfect example. And I hope I'm making sense here. Okay. He is a perfect example of not understanding the purpose of an interview. You see, when an interviewer asks you questions, it's not really to find out, how did you react to your last job? Give me a difficult situation. They are not asking him really about that one job or about that one incident. What the interviewer is really trying to gauge is, how do you respond in general? Because chances are the way you responded in that situation, you will respond to in similar situations. Your mannerisms, the way you talk, the way you act, the way you present yourself, the way you showed up on social media to slam, okay, the interview process. And now this is what we get to see. See, that's what they're really going after. When I'm asked a question in an interview, and I've been on lots of interviews in my 59 years, I haven't been on in 20 years, clearly, because I teach, but I've been on a myriad of interviews, and I'm not bragging, but I've always done very, very well. And I've typically gotten the jobs that I have sought. Now, of course, I'm also understanding I was looking in my 20s and 30s. I wasn't looking, in my late 50s and stuff. Okay. But I would still like to think that I had the communication, the professional appearance, yada, yada, to get a job. What he doesn't understand is when they are asking you these questions, they don't really give a crap about that one interview, that last job you did, that specific situation. They're looking at an entire picture. And these myriad of questions that they're asking you is going to paint a picture as to whether or not he will fit in with the company. You see, and if people can understand that, if people like him can understand that, he would never go on with this attitude on social media, because this attitude here that we just saw, basically, he doesn't have a job, right? So that tells the company we made the right choice in not hiring him. Our picture of him was right. And this is why I say so oftentimes, young people, you got to get the bejesus off of social media, especially when you are interviewing for a job, especially when you are young and your footing is not yet set. You do not have a work history. Okay. Yeah. Okay. You've worked at your uncle's shop. You've mowed some grass, and you did, a little, job during your early college years, and you volunteered at high school. You don't have a career history. What he fails to understand is it wasn't about that one question. Just like when I teach theme, okay, and I tell my students, look, I don't care if you don't ever remember the story of the three little pigs for the rest of your life. What I care about is, do you understand theme? Because if you understand that, it's not going to matter what I put in front of you. You will always be able to figure it out. That's what this guy is missing. He thinks it's the story of the three little pigs. It's not. It has nothing to do with that. It's, can he recognize the theme? This guy thinks it's about one interview question. It's about one job that he did before. That's not really what it's about. It's about his tolerance, his patience. It's about how he responds to just even being questioned. And it's how he reacts after he's been denied. I rest my case.
Oh, we want to get to know you as a person, and then do an in-person interview and see what type of person I am. These are dumbass questions, man. It's like you send a bunch of applications out just for them to get deleted by A, and when you finally get in the door, you get the interviewer or the goof company that's just gonna ask you the dumbest of the dumbest in the whole entire world. Stop wasting my time,
You see? Is it starting to make sense now? This is how I piece things together as a teacher. You see, when you listen to what he's saying and what he's complaining about, but you look at it in the bigger picture, he thinks it's about an individual question. He thinks it's about one job he had held. It's not. They're trying to figure out your character as a person. They're trying to figure out your personality. That's what they're trying to do. You see, and when you understand these things, then it's not going to matter what interview you go to. It's not going to matter whether you're in front of a panel of 6. I think when I interviewed to be a teacher, there were like 6 people. Okay. I was a little intimidating. Okay. I mean, it is. And I understand that. But I also understood that no matter what question they were asking me, it really wasn't really about just that one question. They were trying to gauge if I would be a good fit for the school, just like this guy. It's not about these one questions. They're trying to gauge if he would be a good fit for the company. That's what they're really gauging. And they do it through a series of questions. And that's what he doesn't understand. And when you start to understand that, you start to look at his reaction and you go, oh my God, he's probably not a good fit. In response to the video, 6-figure jobs, no retirement. Chas Charlton, I don't have a car. That's a quote from the video. And he writes, another one who thinks that a car is a human right and not a luxury. Quincy, hi Carrie, no plan in place can and will leave you destitute depending on the government and family friends is not the best retirement package you want. And finally, Mad Matt C2P, if at 60 years old, you have been out of work for 18 months and you have run out of retirement money, you will never be ready money-wise to retire.